Alrighty, so I'm going to make this quick and dirty. Why? Because I don't usually do any content on newer and mainstream style games, which, considering this game is on the front page of Steam, makes it one. Also, I'm prone to adding way too many silly edits in videos like this, and I need to stop. They take way too long to make when I do that. So I'm going to give a quick and dirty review of Monster Hunter Stories 3. If you'd like to watch me go insane in real time over this game and get progressively more and more pissed about it, the VODs are on the channel. Also, if you want to skip around this video, timestamps down below. Your time's important. Use them as you will. Anyways, if you thought about grabbing this game because you like Monster Hunter, or maybe you like monster taming RPGs, or maybe you're just a masochist, don't. Going down those list of reasons, the people who made this game don't know anything about Monster Hunter, and I can prove it. This monster taming RPG is infuriating to play, read, or even experience, and I've personally watched a masochist play it and put it down because it was that bad. But let's start off. So first and foremost, I'm going to be looking at this game as if it's media for its target audience, which if you don't know, that's really easy to effing tell. It's this. That's how you tell. When it comes to media, ads are basically any marketed item. It's that easy to see who they're selling it for and who it's designed for. The person experiencing the ad or the Protag. Usually with that in mind, you can narrow the target audience down to an age range, to sometimes even gender and race. Anyways, this game is for teens to young adults, so I'll be judging it as such. I also will be a bit heavier-handed since this was made by Capcom, a AAA studio in the gaming sphere, meaning they know how to make and sell a good game. It's their effing job, and smaller issues are less acceptable from such studios. This is not an indie studio, and as such, I will now start breaking down how stupid this game was in my first 6 hours. Honestly, this may end up more of a play-by-play of stupid stuff they did, just to showcase how insane the devs had to have been to release this. But whatever. They deserve to be on blast after greenlighting this dumpster fire, and who honestly believes in number out of number style reviews nowadays anyways? This game is crap, and let me explain step by step why. Now then, popping into the game, we'll get a cutscene that's interesting in a few ways. First off, since this game is in the RE engine, girls have tit physics. And secondly, we can use context clues, that there's JRPG cancer dust everywhere. See all the glowy bits? That's bad. You can tell it's bad since it's in the air and the people are using gas masks to move around. Context clues. Anyways, as the scene goes on, we see this woman charge ahead and promptly take off her cancer dust repellent mask for no reason at the sight of a shiny rock. Not only that, after breathing in JRPG cancer dust, she then decides she wants to chip away at a cancer dust stone while right next to it, and also takes off her helmet. This is to show the player her face. That's the only valid reason I can think of, which is dumb, because there's a lot of ways of handling this exact same scene and doing that without her eating cancer dust point blank. Like maybe them transporting shiny cancer rock and slowly dealing with cancer rock, or maybe taking said egg from cancer rock and removing her mask as they leave the area. Either way, she wants to breathe in JRPG cancer dust, I guess, so there's that. Next scene, we see us as a kid, and we're a sparkle wolf and super special awesome. No, not because of our design, but because we have the ability to hear monsters and eggs. Also, Cancer Dust Lady is our mom, the queen of the kingdom. We're a princess. Anyways, egg hatches, Rathalos comes out, fun. So first off, I want to point out that if you've played any other Monster Hunter Stories game, you'll notice something wrong with this Rathalos immediately. No, not the dumb horn that's obviously all cancer rocky. That's just context clues. No, it's the fact that this Rathalos isn't a baby Rathalos. It's just a regular sized Rathalos shrunken down as if a Skyrim player console commanded it to be 0.25 player skill or something. It's weird. The series has unique models for baby monsters when they hatch, and this is not it. Anyways, as stupid as that is, the next stupid thing is that there's 2 of them and that's bad. Why is that bad? Well, Capcom is a Japanese company and Japanese culture tends to lean towards twins being a bad omen in their superstitions. There's research you could look into and I could link, but as I started this video off with, quick and dirty. But to put it into context, Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterflies is based on this superstition. Also, quick aside and review of Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake. They effed over enemy balancing. Quick review over. If you want more info, I live posted about it on my Twitter and Blue Sky. Anyways, back to this shit show. Twins are evil and time skips occur. It's the distant future. We're the character we design now. And we're still super special awesome Sparkle Wolfie with our ability to sense monsters and their riders.
Here comes Simon.
We're a tween werewolf fanfic's wet dream. But enough about that, it's time to do the Zelda Skyward Sword Leap cutscene. As soon as we finish copying Zelda, we'll be allowed to immediately fly on our Rathalos. Which is wild, because flight is a mid to late game mechanic in this series. But don't worry your little noggin viewer, because beyond stealing the Skyward Sword cutscene, this game also stole from Breath of the Wild with their gliding mechanic. But Capcom seemed to have some semblance of a conscience and made the gliding in their game 10 times worse to showcase they didn't just one-for-one copy Nintendo's homework. So to break this down in simple terms, it fucking sucks. To go a bit more in detail, if you don't move, you stay where you are, at your height, which just feels wrong. Because the second you move, you start sinking like a guy given a nice pair of cement shoes by the local crime syndicate. To make up for this horrible feeling gliding mechanic, we're offered updrafts to fly over, which you need to zero in on or you may miss. They designed it this way to give children anxiety. I'm not even joking about that. There's no other reason to do it this way. It's just to give kids anxiety, and let's be honest, even adults have that, so nobody's breaking free from that feeling while flying in this dumpster fire of a game. Landing at the castle, we'll learn this game has a whole cast of wacky characters, all of which I low-key despise for one reason or another. On the flip side, we were summoned by the king, so we ought to go see him. We'll even be told by a guard to go see him, which is odd, because we've already been told, and we legit can't go anywhere else. And then it truly starts. Tutorial Pop-Up Central. We get told by this stupid pop-up that we can press a button to see our objective, which is effing irrelevant, because after we close that pop-up, we have a button prompt above our head to use it, which if you've ever played a game before, you would know, is a tutorial. Making our way into the King's Chamber, we're let known some info. 1, we're going to war. 2, we're the only Rathalos rider. 3, we're joining the peace talks. And 4, to better have our character fit our Sparkle Wolf Sona, everyone hates us. Not because we did anything wrong, but because our mom did a big no-no. We don't know what that no-no was yet, but context clues, buddy. Context clues. Twin dragons, we own one, other is a bad omen, and both her and the dragon are now gone. If that felt spoon-fed to you, that's on purpose, because I'm getting ready to write about how this game spoon-feeds information and exposition to you as if you just spit up on your bib because the airplane came in for a bit too quick of a landing. So remember that tutorial pop-up earlier? I hope you liked it, because a new tutorial pops up on average seemingly every 5 to 10 minutes, completely halting gameplay to give you a paragraph of completely useless information. Because although this game is marketed to teenagers and young adults, it treats its players as if they're stupider than the 10-year-olds who played the first game on 3DS. Every time you open a menu, you get a pop-up. Your map? Pop-up. Your inventory? Pop-up. The story tab? Pop-up. Every menu is a paragraph going over how the game thinks you don't know what that menu is, even when it's labeled and easily explorable. That is how the game handles information. Not just these pop-up tutorials, all plot nonsense is this way. They treat you like you're drooling on yourself while sitting in a high chair. Okay, guys, this is me maybe a quarter of the way through editing the video so far. I took the time to find each and every tutorial I experienced while playing this game on stream. There's 51 of them. I miscounted at the start or whatever, because I didn't grab the catavan one at the start, but there's 51 tutorials. I think I streamed for like 6 hours or so altogether, around there. So I went a bit deeper, because obviously as a streamer, I was dicking around and I was also going on rants about how stupid it was for each tutorial. If I just cut out the character creation and every fade to black cutscene, on average, I was getting a pop-up completely halting all gameplay with a tutorial every 6 minutes. For every 6 minutes of me playing the game, I had to stop and read a paragraph of a tutorial. An average player is a lot worse. Maybe even a higher number, like maybe every 3 to 4 minutes. Heck, if we're considering how many tutorials I counted up to the first tutorial boss, I was counting a tutorial probably on average for the average player every 1.5 minutes of actual gameplay. There are 20 tutorials, actually 21 tutorials, because I forgot that freaking catavan one, between when you start controlling your character and that first tutorial boss, which I would say probably 30 minutes tops. That is a rough estimate. An average player is going to have a tutorial every 1.5 minutes. Throughout the rest of my gameplay, I think an average player is going to have a tutorial every 3 to 4 minutes. Now then, with all of that out of the way and war on the horizon, it's time to go train a new recruit to our ranger organization. Oh, by the way, we're hated as a royal princess, even though we're the only heir. But we also run the local rangers as its leader, but everyone hates us. But we're the only Rathalos rider, and super weak, and haven't even properly explored the local area. So if you haven't picked up at what I'm hinting at, whether you're male or female, your character is type-coded as a Mary Sue, and not a good one on top of that. Good Mary Sues being like Beowulf or Dante Alighieri as a couple examples. Anyways, with war on the horizon, we must now completely ignore that and go train a newbie who, if you spend any time actually paying attention, will realize she is just written as if she's the Protag. I'm not joking, Thea is just a Protag through and through, and her not being the one for this game just makes me feel like the execs demanded a major change in plot during development to make Thea's mentor figure the Protag instead. It genuinely feels that way. Anyways, with our new quest to be a newbie's tutorial, we head out of the castle into the wonderful castle town, and you find out your entire kingdom is 15 houses. And that's it. The entire kingdom is 15 houses, and I'm not effing joking. I counted them. We're a major country with 15 homes. We're a goddamn hamlet, and nobody acknowledges it. Fuck having a royal line, there's a solid chance everyone in our kingdom is related. Ignoring how horrible that thought is, we can head outside and get a better feel for the game, which anyone with the horrible fate of doing so will realize does not feel good. Beyond the horrible quote-unquote flying, the game's other monster features, which we have access to nearly all of them right from the start with our 3 already owned starting monsters, all feel weird compared to earlier entries. Having climbing being activated by just walking into a wall as an example, and some monsters' traversal features like jumping just existing on every single monster. Beyond that, every harvest node blends into the scenery akin to alchemy reagents in Oblivion when you max out the bloom, so there's that. Moving onward, because this is taking way too long writing this, I've got better shit to do than drag this out after all. Capcom decided to give this cat bondage mittens, and I don't know why. Oh, they also gave this game the Assassin's Creed lookout point mechanic, and I don't know why either. I doubt the answer to either question will stop me from hating this game. As we progress, we'll get a cutscene talking about how super special awesome evil monsters called feral monsters are, which as a term is akin to saying a water-breathing fish. Now, feral monsters are our first type of blighted monster. Yes, first. There's multiple effing types. I counted 3 types before I got pissed and turned this game off. And before you ask, they were all unrelated to each other, and they're just 3 different, distinct types of blighted monsters. Now, feral monsters are written to be horrible disasters of scene, but rare. They are known to kill anybody nearby indiscriminately, and could wipe out settlements. Not that there seem to be any besides our kingdom. Rudy shoots down these ideas, saying if everyone who's seen one died, we'd have no stories about them. Now, for those of you who have started to learn how context clues work, you may have picked up on a few things during this cutscene. 1. That we're about to see one. 2. That Rudy, the cat sidekick, is written as the only character in this game with any form of intelligence whatsoever. And if you've watched the scenes, our Protag is written as if they're Navi, which, well, since Thea is here, it kind of makes sense. And 3, I said written to be. I'll go over number 3 in a bit. Moving along, we find a couple eggs in the overworld, which doesn't make sense in the game setting or mechanics considering the series, but we ignore that because a boss fight against a Jigglypuff occurs. But we ignore that boss fight because now there's a boss fight against a feral monster. Yeah. So if this was written competently, this would be the moment we flee. We know these things are beyond aggressive and beyond dangerous. Instead, our characters use the combination of Thea's Protag energy and our character's Sparkle Wolf Mary Sue power to kill it with little to no issue, because we're not even level 10 yet. And now you may start to know true fear, because this game just showed it has no comprehension of pacing, power creep, or even world building, all in one series of cutscenes. But you probably didn't even notice how horrific that was, because every few moments a new pop-up for a tutorial stopped your entire effing thought process. Yeah, by the way, battles have menus. Enjoy getting a pop-up in battles periodically for the next 5+ hours. I'm not even shitting you. I got tutorials in random battles for the next 5 hours after this. And that's a low estimate, since I rage quit at that point. Now then, we go to hatch the eggs we stole from the Jigglypuff as a tutorial for this game's actual Protag, Thea. To do so, we use an altar that's carved out of stone, and has 2 recesses for eggs, also carved out of stone, the same stone as the altar. This altar just has 2 egg recesses for no reason, and that makes no effing sense in any way or form besides for this one effing cutscene. They made an entire set piece for this one cutscene that outright contradicts world building and lore, as well as common sense. Get used to it. It's the norm. Moving on, our ranger group is swamped with requests, and nobody understands why, especially since a majority of them are right on the border between our country and the one we're going to war with. It takes the talking cat using all the brain cells in the entire kingdom to tell our group that war was declared. Of course, a mercenary outfit would have work. Everyone then proceeds to forget this fact and not comprehend this. I'm not even joking. This keeps happening. It's like effing Harvestella all over again, and just comparing the two feels weirdly on point. If you've never watched my Harvestella playthrough, I toured a new one because every cutscene contradicted earlier cutscenes or itself, as in it would contradict the info it just gave in the same cutscene. Pair that with the fact that Harvestella was a game that had to have something go wrong during development, because its major plot point was retconned, and all the Chrono Trigger imagery sprinkled throughout it showcased that the game was never meant to be anything like it ended up as. And it's starting to really feel like these two games are 2 peas in a pod in that regard. Well, that and the fact that Harvestella has a 7 out of 10 on Metacritic when it deserves a 2, and the only bad reviews for this game on Steam's 75% positive last time I checked were due to it crashing. And, well, I'm just suddenly reminded of the first episode of Metalocalypse and the shit sandwich bit.
Now, this movie, it's a $500 $200 million sandwich, and you're all gonna take a bite, and you're all gonna smile, because you love how it tastes. Got it? Now you go out there to your adoring public. I wrote all the reviews. No one knows what a good movie is anymore. Just shut up and smile. Remember, sandwich tastes great.
Oh, speaking of crashing, by the way, this is when the game locked my entire computer and forced me to hard reset it. Not just to close the game, but even to just end my stream. I've never seen a game do that, and I'm running some good hardware here. I've been inexcusable to release it in this state. I had to fix the corrupted VOD to even get this footage. Now then, we've got a bunch of shitty plot beats, shitty annoying characters who can't comprehend plot beats, a protag written as a Mary Sue's sidekick to a side character who's delegated as our student, but is so protag it hurts. Oh, and a bunch of annoying pop-ups every few minutes. If all that sounds like shit, don't worry. It gets worse. Because this is the part of the game where it opens up. You can check your stables and get a pop-up. Forge gear and pop-ups. Walk outside and explore to find more pop-ups. And go into monster dens with pop-ups. And now if you've played earlier games, you may notice something wrong about this monster den. And that's because they removed the dungeon aspect to them. They did this because they were lazy and wanted a paycheck. So just waltz in, grab an egg, waltz out. Usually this would be the fun bit, but, well, war were declared, so as we near the border, we'll find it stacked with an invasive force. We'll also find out the fact that our kingdom's border is a 5-minute walk from our castle's town, and the nearby watchtower with guards in it, for some reason, have not noticed that the other country's invasion force is just right there. We must go warn the king, post haste. Or not. So even though the cutscene just said, let's go warn the king, we don't. We instead wander further towards the border for a boss fight. Now, if this guy looks intimidating, that's because he's a late game monster in most of the series. If he looks weird, that's because we just found our second form of blighted monster, which is totally different from the first type. And as we know, the Monster Hunter story series has never had a plotline about blighted monsters before, so it's fine. That was me being sarcastic. One boss fight down and we must return to the king post-haste. After all, it's time for peace talks. Oh, by the effing way, remember that scene where we saw the border about to be invaded? Forget it, it's irrelevant. I'm not even joking when I say that. That cutscene is genuinely irrelevant. We don't tell anyone. It changes nothing. I think it's a prototype scene that they forgot to remove from the finished product. I'm not even shitting you. It's like this game didn't have a director to trim the fat for various things like that. And it's really starting to show. Now back at the kingdom, the other country's envoys have come for peace talks. Now the peace talks go about as well as you'd think they'd go at the start of a JRPG. Until Little Miss Princess Bestie decides, as opposed to having her country invade ours and completely kill all of us because we only have 15 hovels to our name, she'll instead offer herself as a hostage to us to stop the war from breaking out. Yeah, you heard that right. The enemy country's princess gave herself as a prisoner to stop us from being invaded. This game is written like a Mary Sue soap opera, I effing swear. After all, now that other country's princess is here, my protag and her are suddenly super best awesome friends and besties for no reason, which just circles back to my personal 3 Mary Sue rules that are means of defining a story as a Mary Sue story. Number 1, character is a self-insert. Number 2, other characters like or hate the Mary Sue for no reason with no proper build-up or logic. And number 3, plot does not move or exist without Mary Sue's direct involvement, which our character honestly fits in all 3. Effing wild, man. This game's protag is so Mary Sue-y, it's painful. Now then, we decide to take the enemy country's princess with us out camping. Yes, I'm being serious. No, I'm not joking. And in doing so, find another feral monster, the super rare natural disaster enemies that can destroy settlements. Yes, I'm being serious. No, I'm not joking. Upon killing it, we get a pop-up that anytime we want to make a camp, we need to fight a feral monster boss fight. Yes, I'm being serious. No, I'm not effing joking. They built up a rare, catastrophic, blighted monster species, and then just tossed it the mid-boss title and put it in places to check boxes. I'm not shitting with you. Anyways, now we have a camp, which means we have more menus, which means, yeah, pop-ups. Also, quick aside, this camp tent pisses me the F off. It has a full stove with chimney, ceiling fan, full solid wood table, hammock, amongst other horse shit. This thing makes no sense considering we don't have any form of logistics department in our ranger group, just to figure out how to even get this crap carted to and fro. Anyways, more garbage cutscene time. We learn the history of enemy country a bit and why they want war. Also, we're apparently constantly having border disputes with them, which makes zero sense considering Protag's mother is from enemy country, and both countries denounced her for what she did. But the fact she married Protag's father means they had an amicable relationship to have marriage talks and build bridges. So what that means is either A, it's a retcon to the story, or B, and kind of more likely, the devs don't comprehend what basic writing is, nor hold the most basic reading comprehension for their own works. With the devs' lackluster skills on full display, it's time to introduce nighttime mechanics. We get a pop-up, obviously, and are told that any city does not have a nighttime version of it. This is because the devs were lazy and only wanted a paycheck. There's genuinely no other possible reason for it. After all, Ocarina of Time on the N64 had a day-night cycle for its towns decades ago. Also, why is this review referencing Zelda so much? Whatever. Now then, before we get into the next bullshit, I'd like to show you the world map. This is the world map. We're from the country in the middle, and the enemy country is south, and that's it. 2 countries with some forbidden land to the north. And if you've been playing along for some reason up until now, this image will fill you with a deep-seated form of melancholy. Because our country is tiny, we can reach the border in less than 5 minutes. It's literally a light jog from outside the castle's walls. Also, those are the only 2 countries, and our entire kingdom is only 15 hovels. I am amazed they somehow made an RPG with a map like this, because this feels smaller than my local mall. Does it open up more? Don't know, because I'm about to rage quit. The next series of tasks has us getting tutorials, moving to an area to get more tutorials, with a shit plot that I genuinely don't have the energy to write about anymore due to how stupid it is. Oh, and get more tutorials. But if we do all of that, we can meet our 3rd form of blighted monster, invasive species. And at this point, the question may be rising in your head. Multiversal medium. If Capcom was just going to copy the plotline from Monster Hunter Stories 1, why not just have one type of blighted monster? To which I will promptly answer, because they don't give a fuck in the worst possible way. That's why. It feels like 3 different studios worked on 3 different aspects of this game, and they pasted them together when any singular plot aspect would have been enough to drive the storyline forward. Anyways, invasive species aren't like feral monsters, which are super dangerous and deadly, or the enemy country's armored, rage-fueled monsters, which are super dangerous and deadly. No, invasive species are unkillable and likely to one-shot you. I'm not even joking. These things are meant to be a puzzle fight, not to kill them, but make them flee. You can't kill them yet. Later, yes. Now, no. Now, if you're wondering what the puzzle is, well, the game is still assuming you haven't learned to crawl yet, so it's jingling keys in your face along with pop-ups.
Jingle, 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 pay attention, pay attention.
One obvious mechanic later, and we can get an endangered species egg. And this is when it fully sinks in. This is when it fully hits you. This is when you realize the entire team who worked on this game, from the base staff to the execs who greenlit this shit over at Capcom Studios, have never played or read anything related to Monster Hunter. Because the endangered species you hatch is a Rathian. And to make sure the species does well, you release it into the wild to start repopulating as the only Rathian. Now, ignoring the obvious, a single creature can't repopulate anything issue, because let's handwave that for but a moment. For those that might not know, a Rathian isn't a unique species. In fact, we've been interacting with the same species as a Rathian this entire time. A Rathian is a female Rathalos. And as the only rider of a Rathalos, and arguably the owner of the only Rathalos as far as we're aware, we just took the only mate our monster could ever have and sent it out to the wild, expecting it to somehow repopulate by itself. We've not just doomed the entire Rathalos species, we just blue-balled our personal dragon on top of it all. This was when I was done. This was the point of no return. Let's be honest. There were zero ways they could salvage anything before. They just couldn't. But this fully sunk any and all hope for me getting some weird form of joy, outweighing the never-ending pop-up shitstorm of infuriating pauses to gameplay that are the endless tutorials this game gives you, paired with all the cutscenes that just insult the player's intelligence. This was when I quit. How dare Capcom release this pile of sludge they call a game? How dare they? Review / play-by-play over. Monster Hunter Stories 3 gets one sticky pile of gunk on my shoe out of 2. Annoying enough to throw my day off, but something forever designated to be beneath my heel. Oh, before I forget, this game is even stupider. Just so you know, Thea has super special awesome can sense monsters powers too.
Everything okay?
Is something the matter?
I don't know. It's like something's giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Which, once more, she's just the Protag, and I was typecast as her teacher. And these guys over here do the whole save the ecosystem thing better than the rangers I lead, as a separate organization, making mine worthless. And lastly, Capcom called electrical elemental monsters Thunder Element, which is a mistranslation that's been known about as a mistranslation for decades now. And just kind of goes to show they really didn't give a crap about this shit show of a game. Don't buy it, and if you do, leave a bad review. Game devs need to stop getting away with this level of crap. Seriously, I'm so tired of it all. Oh, I suppose I should say, the game's battle system is fine. I like the monster designs. The game will legitimately just never shut up about how idiotic its writing is, and how stupid the devs think you are with the endless tutorial pop-ups, that I can't even enjoy the brief moments of not dealing with its storyline. The game is impossible to even just try and enjoy it for the gameplay. That's how insufferable it is. And even if it was, the gameplay is still worse than the earlier entries in the series. Anyways, that's it. Ciao.